Okay, so I'm here with the writer and artist for Not a Villain, and I'm really, really excited. So can you introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm ANEEKA Richins. I do the webcomic Not a Villain. It's about a girl, a genius hacker, trying her best to be good and not take over the world anymore. It's really hard for her. She's trying her best. And I started the webcomic in 2010, October 10th, 10, so 10-10-10.
Nice.
I did that because it was really easy to remember. About maybe 8 to 10 months before I started teaching myself how to draw in order to make it. Because I always had the story in my head as a novel, but it didn't work, and I knew it needed more visual format, and I couldn't hire an artist, so I decided to hire myself.
Yeah. But Kat kind of went through the same thing, drawing her own avatar. So kind of leading off of that, how did it feel, like as a kind of drawing myself, how does it feel to not have to draw hands for quite a while?
Oh, you mean with Kat and her mitten hands?
Yeah.
It was nice. I didn't have to worry about all the fingers. Drawing Kat, her awful avatar, was a lot of fun to make fun of my own art and what I felt was lack of skill, and it was a way to relieve stress as I was uploading this on the webcomic on the web, and to kind of like poke at my own flaws in a way that makes sense in story. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of people have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool thing. Where do you come up for the idea where there's reality and then li.fe and then there's also the game at the same time?
The setting of Not a Villain came first into my head. I didn't actually have a plot. I always liked the idea of going from one reality to another one, and I'm going from a virtual reality into a game. And in the novel format, you never saw reality. You always lived in life, and they would jump up into the game until like to the very, very end of the book when you drop down into reality and then realize that this whole world you thought was real was all fake. So it was more of like a, oh, gotcha. I just liked that, the sense of fakeness, because in the letter in the story, which in the original version, it's no longer that anymore. A lot of people would comment, you know, you don't have to clean anything. You know, there's never dust in a virtual reality setting. You don't have to vacuum. There's no mud to clean up. Those that have aging problems are like, well, now I'm always 20. So I really enjoyed playing with that in the beginning. Of course, once I actually had a plot and Kat came into the story, I had to remove that and focus on her story. So it changed, but I just really liked that idea of a virtual reality playing with.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty cool. So, actually, this is, how did you come up with the different alignments you can get in the game? Like, excuse me if I'm like butchering the pronunciations, but Morto or Urbana or something like that.
Pronounced just fine, good job. I'm basing the game on something that I would like to play, and there are different aspects of gaming that I like. I like hack and slash, just killing everything, especially on bad days. And then there are type of games I like where you're just gathering a bunch of stuff and just designing. You know, what's that? Minecraft. Yeah. You know, that's basically, you're designing. There's no hack and slash really in that game. So I wanted to design this game, which I would love, if anyone wants to make it real, I would love it, where all those different aspects of people can come into one game and play. So if you want to just be like a Minecraft type of person, you can be Urbana. You know, you don't have to kill anybody, you're not supposed to kill anybody actually, and you just collect your plants and you can build things or heal people or build your own little island. If you're more the Morto type, you just want to kill people, you can do that. Or Demily, where you get to blow things up. That was also really a lot of fun. Or you can, each aspect is I guess you can say is a tweak of something that I have an interest in, and I just made it into this massive game where all of them can live at the same time.
Yeah, I thought it was actually a really clever idea with Annie's storyline going on at the same time. Yes. We're like, whoops, I'm not ready to roll the reality pages. Here she is. Yeah, but I'm kind of interested to see where that storyline goes. It seems like it's pretty interesting so far.
Yes, it's probably too interesting. I have a lot more people asking about Annie.
Yeah.
I hope to continue it. I just know the next segment that I have written out, there's not a good break-off point, and it would introduce more of her plot. I tend to write a lot of stories. Like, all of my characters tend to develop their own backstories as I write them. Like even Nanie, who is a character that gets killed off at the very beginning of Not a Villain. Don't even know if you remember her. Danny's old partner.
Yeah.
Nanie. I actually have her whole history, even though she will never show up in the comic again.
Her picture showed up.
It's true. But I have all this background. So Annie, how she's going to come back into the story, spoilerific right now, but I have it planned, and it would be fun whenever I have the time to start launching it. It would be fun if I could launch Annie and roll Not a Villain and Annie's side story at the same time. That would be really fun, but at the moment it's not going to happen.
Yeah, a couple of webcomic authors that I really like that run Sister Claire have a separate kind of entire backstory history thing, and they post that on, I think they post those on Wednesdays, and then comic updates on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yes.
And they're at separate places in the website, so you can alternate between those if you wanted an idea for how you could do that, as well as Nani's backstory might go there as well. So yeah. How I really love in the comic how you can see your art develop and shading slowly start coming in, and to the point where now it's all even the game is really painted when it used to just be flat colors, and then the first reality pages were just kind of the back of her head and everything. But yeah, I really like how you can see an art style develop slowly, and the art slowly get better. I don't know I'm doing this. It's more that,
okay.
but yeah.
It flows. Whee!
Yeah. But yeah, I really like how it just gets better and better.
Me too.
And the character design's getting better and better also.
Oh, thank you.
It's really fun. I also really like the whole reality storyline being kind of similar, and there's all sorts of cool stuff that goes on in reality that we don't know about quite yet that I'd like to know more about. But it's super duper really in depth, and even though it only takes 3 hours to read the entire thing,
it takes longer to create.
Yes, it takes a lot longer to create, but it takes 3 hours to read the entire thing, and I was just okay, I'm just gonna sit in bed and read this now. I think I discovered it through an advertisement on a website that called Flight Rising, I think. And then
Which one?
Flight Rising. It's
okay.
It does a lot of ads for webcomics, and I found it, and I'm oh, this looks cool. The little art thing looks nice, and Not a Villain sounds pretty cool.
Thanks.
I went to it, and I'm okay, I'm gonna read this whole thing now. And now I've read it. Read it again. And I'm gonna read this whole thing now again. It's definitely rereadable, and especially if you kind of know where the plot's going, the little details kind of
the
put
foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing is my favorite thing to go through and look at during different comics or anything in general. Is just go and see all the foreshadowing and be that was foreshadowing. What alignment do you think you would be if you did the tutorial for the first time and didn't know you could change it? What alignment did you think you would be if you were going through the tutorial? What would you do? What would have happened?
Well, if I had no idea what I was doing, I'd probably be more like Danny. You just hack and slash your way through. That's probably what I would do. Because in a game, you don't have to worry about it. You just think, I can kill this thing. You can just hit it until it dies, stops moving. And then if I saw the score and go, wait, I could do something else, and I'd try to go back and redo it and figure it out.
Yeah. I would think that I would try my best to get in an Urbana type thing.
Well, if you didn't know that it existed.
Yeah, I know.
You had no idea what you're doing.
I try and find a way to not kill anything in every game ever since Undertale came out. I'm just okay, now I need to figure out how I don't kill everything. And at this point, I've made my way through games that you probably weren't supposed to without doing that. So I think I would try to find, I would not find all the plants. I would just be let's not, also I really, really like animals, so I would be don't kill the dog, don't kill the dog, don't kill the dog. I'm not killing the dog.
Leave it alone.
Leave the doggy alone, please. Yeah, I would probably try and find an Urbana, and I'd probably just be stuck until I figure out you're supposed to put plants together, because I would try and desperately not to kill anything.
You can always try the Jews route.
Yeah.
Attract it, then run.
Yeah.
Until you happen to fall on the Asone and hey!
Hey, found it! Yeah. So how hard was it to launch a webcomic and get it started and write and draw for a webcomic and try and get it up every Monday and all sorts of stuff? How hard was it and maybe even just to find someone that would put it up on the internet?
It's not really that hard. It's surprisingly quite easy. It was drawing the pages that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
And finding your schedule. Like when I first was doing the webcomic, I decided I should practice. So I did 40 pages of a practice where I tried to finish the page to do, because I wanted to be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday update schedule, because that was what, you know, professional webcomic people did. And I was going to be a professional webcomic artist. And of course I was working, you know, a normal job, you know, 40 hours a week in Japan at the time, and had never drawn anything in my life. But I was going to draw a completed page in 3 days. Oh yeah. It didn't happen. And as I slowly worked on these 40 pages, I realized my speed was going to be, I was just going to barely make it 1 page a week, how fast I was going. And I kept just pushing forward, and I ended up actually tossing those first 40 pages because they were awful, and I had no idea what I was doing, and the paneling was all wrong. And so I tossed them all, and I restarted, and this time I had a schedule of just once a week, and that was much more doable. And then launching it, I researched. I'm really good at researching. Google is my friend. And I looked around for everyone's you know, reviews on what type of what's called hosting company to use, and I decided to go with Just Host because they sound like a good, reliable company, and they have been. They've been really good for me. And then I used WordPress, and I used it with a plugin called Webcomic because I really liked how they how the coding worked. And then it's just a plugin. You know, you push the button and it sets itself up, and then you just put the plugin, and then you can upload pages right then. There's really comes right out of the box, just perfect. And then of course finding an audience. Now that is the main thing. As I don't know who said it, but Howard Taylor is the one that told me the story that making money from webcomic is like making bear soup. I can teach you how to make the soup, but getting the bear is all on your own. And everyone's story of getting the bear is their own thing. So yeah. It's difficult.
Thank you for taking a couple minutes to be interviewed.
Yeah, anytime. It was a lot of fun.